welcome. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I am Melissa T, the Procrastination Bully. Welcome to this week's edition of the Getting the Win show. If you're coming back, welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome. You're probably wondering about the time, like, wait a minute, don't you know we start at 6? Doing some new stuff, y'all, like feeling some things around. This go around, I'm coming to you straight out of YouTube, directly from YouTube. So I'm live with you straight through YouTube, no third party software, no nothing. The process continues, the growth process continues. So, yeah, today's subject though is the toughest pill to swallow for every goal getter, from the self-driven to the self-sabotaging. This is going to apply to you, okay? Even if you are someone that is very aggressive, you're fast moving, you're visionary, you're doing your thing, you've likely hit this wall a few times and have had to blast holes through it, right? To keep it pushing. But today's topic is something you've heard me say on many episodes. It takes as long as it takes, okay? It takes as long as it takes. Today, like, we're covering the topic of perseverance because it is so important as it relates to your goal, whatever your luxury item is. It's going to take as long as it takes, even with all the research, even with all the prep work. You never know what plot twists you're going to encounter. You never know what things may be unlocked as you're continuing to execute. There may be some things that shorten the journey, or certain things that may lengthen the journey. But the focus of today is to remind you it takes as long as it takes. A quick reminder, as I've been sharing with you over the last few weeks, consistency is 3 to 4 months at minimum. Doing something consistently. Yes, yes, Sam, I see you. Tough pill to swallow. Consistency is 3 to 4 months, no less than that. No less than that. So be prepared. 90 to 120 days, at the very least that. But most things that are worth doing, the luxury item that you're after, may take that long, or it may take even longer than that. And there may be some times where you've set expectations for yourself. If you're someone who has been diligent enough to create a vision board for yourself, perhaps you've set deadlines and maybe you're drawing close to them and you're not quite seeing the results you want. This is that friendly and kind of bullying reminder. Like, it takes as long as it takes. Like, even if you're getting close to your deadline and it's not looking too good right now, keep going. Keep going. Stick with the plan. And especially if you've been following the last few episodes where I talked about researching possibility models, researching the people that are already successful at your luxury item. Like, find out, get that ratio. If there are more people winning from this thing than people that are not, then the issue is likely not the plan itself. You might be growing impatient. So just remind yourself you are on the right track and you are doing everything you're supposed to do. And hey, quite frankly, take the time to inventory what you are doing, because it may very well come down to the fact that you might not be doing all the things that you need to do. There might be some updates as it relates to whether it's a document you got to do, certain certifications, whatever details apply in the context of your luxury item. There might be some things added to it. There might be something you overlooked. And this is the power of having accountability partners, right? That's a drum you'll never hear me stop beating. Accountability is super important. Super important. So here's an example from my life. Like, this is an example from this here. I recently started my health recovery journey, my health reclamation journey, as I like to call it. My accountability, where that's concerned, are my parents on one side and my vegan health coach on the other. Shout out to Lisa A. Smith. Like, she keeps me accountable without me even having to call her. Her content is awesome. And it holds me together. Like, there are times when I'm tempted to slide and she's like, She doesn't literally give me a look, but her content does. You know what I mean? And she's very consistent about posting those reminders on social media. If you follow her on Facebook or Instagram, or on YouTube, wherever you take in her content, and she'll constantly remind you, like, you made this promise to yourself. You have this calling on your life. Be obedient to your assignment. So it always helps to have someone in your corner that's like that. Make sure you have someone that is holding you accountable to that luxury item, that is waiting to see it finish. Another great example of this is this show. I started this in October of 2023. It is now August 21st. Started October 1st. We are now at August 21st. And as you can see, I'm still learning. I'm still tinkering with different technical pieces and continuing to learn through the process of the wonderful journey of live streaming. Absolutely. And you're correct, Sam. It's tough at times to hold ourselves accountable, which is why I always recommend having at least one other person in your corner to help you. Because there are times when, like, I'll be honest with y'all, I'm not always the best at holding myself accountable, but I'm fortunate that I have people in my corner that can hold me accountable. They're constantly asking, like, hey, where are you with that? You know, make sure you have someone, at least one person in your corner that's asking you that, whether that's on a daily basis or a weekly basis. I wouldn't recommend stretching it out any farther than a week, though, because if you're someone who struggles to keep yourself accountable, then longer than a week, you might start to revert, right? You might start to slide again. So make sure you have someone in your corner that's like that. It takes as long as it takes. Okay, be kind to yourself, especially if you're someone who's more on the side of self-sabotaging. For the folks that are self-driven, like, you deal with this, but you find a way around it. You figure it out, right? But if you're someone who's watching this and you struggle with procrastination as a lifelong habit and you're self-sabotaging, like, make sure you have someone in your corner that's gonna call on you, ask you where you are with your stuff, and continue to help you along in the process. And to what I mentioned earlier about double checking all of your steps in the process in case you overlooked something, or if there's something new that has arisen as part of what you're working on, that accountability partner is going to be clutch for you. Especially if you know, just based on your personality, that details are not your strong suit. This stuff bores you. All this talk you've heard me talk about in terms of planning things, or if you've heard people talk about the vision board and things like that, that sort of thing probably makes your eyes glaze over if you're not someone who's detail oriented. Make sure you have an accountability partner that is. Have someone in your corner that fills your blind spots, fills your blanks, because then they'll be able to keep you going, maintain your momentum, because that's what you need. And speaking of momentum, when I said be kind to yourself, you have to remember the consequences you're seeing in your life right now are a result of the decisions you've made in the last 6 months to 12 months, some even farther back than that. And remember, you're having to fight against your existing momentum to turn your life in the other direction, to go towards your luxury item. So, just a reminder to be kind to yourself. It takes as long as it takes. So, keep going. Keep going, keep pulling, keep checking in, keep moving in the direction of your luxury item. Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Sonia. Appreciate you. Yeah. So keep going. Just a couple of details, because y'all know I'm a teach. So as it relates to this, here's a bit of refinement as it relates to the vision board. I've heard two other people share this refinement as well. They coined their own terms for it. But basically, when you're doing your vision board, especially we're coming close to 2025, so you're about to have to create your next one anyway, or update the one you made for 2024. But the other bit that's not talked about is a goals board, or as ET calls it, a decision board. But basically, all of the big, lofty things you put on your vision board that you want, that next board, break it down. Break it down to the individual actions you're gonna need. And if a board is not for you, maybe you're not necessarily someone who's visual in nature. Maybe you don't need something that big and sprawling. Robin Sharma recommends what's called a vision journal, which I think is awesome as well. And I can actually show you mine because I have one. And sometimes the vision journal might be more useful. So what I did was I put each of my goals on a page. So it's the same thing as doing a vision board. Like you put your goals, you cut out your goals so it's realistic, but instead of having it on a big whiteboard, you have it on pages and you can write notes. That's my goal, y'all. The first part of my goal has been completed, which was the weight loss. So now it's just going to come down to the working out. So I'm sharing this with y'all in real time so you guys can hold me accountable. Okay. I won't reach here by the end of 2024. Just being realistic with y'all. Don't be holding me to that in 2024. I won't get there. But end of 2025, absolutely. I will be looking like that. And the lady in that photo is 50 plus. She's actually 57 years old. So shout out to her. And then just another quick example here. On this side is an example of one of the highest paid corporate speakers. Shout out to her. Her name is Carla Harris. And then what I have here is a dollar bill with $1 million written on it. So this sort of thing is good. Have your vision journal, have your vision board, but make sure you break it down into the decisions you're going to have to make in order to get those things done. And this can be something that's a work session for you, whether that's with your accountability partner, or if you don't have an accountability partner yet, find out someone in your life that you know will support you and is detail oriented that can help you break this down. Schedule something on both your calendars where you do a work session, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, however long you think it will take. But a work session where you lay out what your vision is, the things you want to see, whatever that luxury item is going to look like, and you allow that person time to ask you all the questions, to pull your vision out of you in small, bite-sized, detailed actions by month, by week, by day, because there's certain things that you're going to have to turn into habits, right? For example, on my health journey, one of the things I had to turn into a habit was taking supplements. There's certain supplements that I'm going to need going forward because, no shade to pharmaceutical medicine, it has its place. But going forward and maintaining my health, I'm doing naturopathic stuff. And if you've taken supplements, you already know a lot of those you're taking them multiple times a day. So that demands a level of consistency. That demands a level of discipline. So there are certain things within your vision or within your luxury item that are going to become habits that you're going to have to break down. And the key is to make those tasks easy enough to do. Break those tasks into small, easy things that you can do. And rely heavily on that partner. The other thing I want to add to that, to the accountability partner thing, is also work towards being part of a community if you're not in one already. Shout out to my brother Sam in the comments. He and I are a part of an amazing community. Shout out to Deeper Than the Brand. But there's several other communities that may be able to give you life based on what your goals are, based on what your luxury item is. Maybe it'll take more than one. Like I'm someone that is in more than one. So I'm a part of Deeper Than the Brand, but I'm also in ET's UOU Mastermind. We meet 6 mornings a week. That is Monday through Friday and then Sunday. So Sunday through Friday, 6 mornings a week. Consistency. And that was the point of that. ET set up those morning calls to build the muscle of consistency in every participant. Because for some, they might be starting from scratch and it may be a new habit for them. So I wanted to make sure to share that with you as it relates to breaking down your luxury item. The other thing I want you to consider, number two for this, is overhaul your supporting behaviors, overhaul what you're doing. Shout out to Layla Hormozy for this one. Audit what is working, like what you can continue to do, audit what you need to start doing, and audit what you need to stop doing. Like make a note of all three of those things. What you need to start doing, what you need to stop doing, what you can continue to do. All three of those. And again, this can be part of that work session that you're doing with your accountability partner. That way you can look over the things that are working and the things that are not, because then you have to make your mark. Like, okay, I'm going to stop this. And remember, in a previous episode, I mentioned how the brain works. You can't just focus on what you can't do. You have to replace it with what you're gonna do going forward. The brain needs both in order for a habit to take shape. Because if you only focus on what you're not gonna do, you will just, like I said, slide back to doing the thing you don't want to do or the thing you've told yourself you need to stop doing. So, what you need to start doing, what you need to stop doing, and what you need to continue doing. Okay. Shout out to Christina. Hi. I see you in the comments. What's up? Yeah. So I want you to audit your supporting behaviors. And another thing you guys will hear me talk about if you're following one of my guests, Jessica Holly, because I recently did an interview on her show, is creating a supportive environment for the work that you're doing. Whenever you're working on your luxury item, I would like to believe you're not working on your luxury item when you're on your 9 to 5. If you're working a 9 to 5, don't do that. You're on their clock, so give them their time. But wherever you do your luxury item work, whether that's at home, at a Panera Bread, at a Starbucks, whatever, insert coffee shop here. If you use a co-op space, a co-working space, whatever that is for you, set up the environment that is conducive to you being the most productive. If you're someone that needs to have music on, put on the binaural beats to help you focus and get into that flow zone. Here's an amazing thing about binaural beats. I'm not going to lie, I was 24 years old when I learned this, so I'm sharing this with you. The reason why binaural beats work, incredible. And the reason why they're so lauded for studying or creative endeavors is that when you listen to that kind of music, it automatically causes your brain to create. Here's what's happening. And with binaural beats, each ear is hearing individual noises that your brain then takes and combines to create its own sound that is not there in the music. So your brain is already creating when you listen to binaural beats. So when you get down to working on your luxury item, you're already creating. It's a nice cheat code. Just figured I'd share the science behind that. Everybody talks about binaural beats, right? But just wanted to share with you some science as to why it works. So yeah, create an environment that is conducive to you being productive. If you're someone who likes certain aromas around you, by all means get them. Whatever your favorite aromas are, or aroma, it might just be one, but set it in the room when you're gonna work. That way it puts you in the state that you want to be in to help you focus. If you like a certain texture on you when you're working, maybe you're a cotton person, maybe you're a jersey person, I don't know, whatever the case may be. If you're someone that, like me, struggle with being cold easily, get your favorite jacket. But create an environment that's going to be conducive to you getting as much work done as possible. And if you're someone who is what I like to call organized cluttered, like you're not like the fully organized person, but you understand your chaos, Even with your organized chaos, create space. Create space, because the way your environment looks is representative of how your mind is. And you guys always hear me talk about creating space in your mind. When you create space in your mind, then new ideas can flow. So even in your space, even with your organized chaos, create space in your space. Create space in your space, because that can inform the body as well. If you're someone that needs it to be dead silent, by all means, set that up. Block out some time, even if that involves you going to your restroom. You might be someone that has a whole family, and that whole family could be jumping by the time it's time for you to work on your luxury item. So if the bathroom is where you got to go, by all means, go in there. Bring your laptop, bring your tablet, whatever it is you're doing your luxury item work on. Lock the door, be like, hey, this is my time to work on what I need to work on. Mommy needs to work on this. Daddy needs to work on this. Whatever the case may be, make sure that your space is conducive to your productivity. Okay. These are all little tips I wanted to provide you guys to help you push past that wall when you start to feel the tug, like, I should be done by now, or why is this taking so long? Am I doing the right thing? Did I pick the wrong niche? Did I pick the wrong genre? Did I pick the wrong software? Insert doubt here. Insert the applicable doubt that applies to you. But I just wanted to come on here and remind you, if you're working towards your luxury item, you're already winning, because there are plenty of people that aren't. Keep going. It takes as long as it takes. There are some people you'll need to meet to help you unlock different parts of your journey. There's certain books you'll need to read or listen to if you're an audiobook person, a certain video or videos you'll need to watch. Each step of the process, just keep going. Things will unlock as you keep moving. I was speaking with a coaching client just yesterday, actually, and she shared with me her doubts as it relates to her goals. And one of her goals, she had actually started to tell herself that it won't happen. And I paused her on that. I said, wait a minute, like, the last thing you want to do is tell God what he's not going to do. Don't do that, because he may very well have that for you in store. That he put it on your heart already. So clearly it's something he wants to give you. So the last thing you want to do is tell him what he's not going to do or what he's not going to give you. So I encouraged her, even with her work goals. She mentioned she doesn't have an outlook as far even as 2 years, the next 2 years. And I advised her, I said, write it out anyway. Even if you don't have a clear picture of what God wants you to do in the next 2 years, start the momentum by writing out what you want to see in your own life in the next 2 years. Keep that momentum of action going, because the last thing you want to do is stop trying to wait for a message or a spark of inspiration. The inspiration usually comes while you're moving. So keep going. It takes as long as it takes. If you're someone who's more on the driven side, like, you're not waiting for anybody, just do what I mentioned earlier in terms of revisiting everything that you have done already. Maybe there's something new, maybe there's something you missed. Ask questions and do that research, because I know you'll find it. Like, you have zero problem getting that information out. But yeah, that's just a matter of revisiting. If there's examples, there are more examples of winning versus the examples of those that didn't succeed at it, then the plan is not the problem. You just got to keep going. The vision is right out there in front of you. You want to reach out and grab it. I know. But just keep going. It takes as long as it takes. And that's not always a bad thing, because here's the opposite. If you choose to speed up the process, do some shortcuts if you're trying to learn from other people's mistakes or things like that to kind of shorten the process, you may end up making a mistake or two that you didn't need to make and end up consuming resources you didn't need to. Measure twice, cut once. Very important. Measure twice, cut once. I just want to let that sit, let that breathe. So, yeah, just a quick reminder of what I mentioned in terms of auditing the supporting behaviors. You're going to audit what you need to stop doing, what you need to start doing, and what you can continue to do as it relates to your luxury item. Okay. And if you're someone who's more on the self-sabotaging side, start looking for apps that allow for work sessions as well, because that is a thing now. Like if you're somebody that needs that extra push to get that activation energy, remember I talked about mastering the transition. You need just enough willpower to get from here to here. So if you're someone that struggles with that activation energy, that push to go that way, research some apps that are virtual working sessions. It can be an hour, it can be up to 4 hours. Some apps allow up to 4 hours. But look into that, because basically there are communities. Remember, I talked about community. There are communities of people that are supportive. It's their safe space. So whatever your luxury item is, you don't have to worry about somebody stealing your idea, that sort of thing. And you get to simply work. You let them know what you're there to do. And at certain intervals, they'll check in with you and say, okay, where are you with that? And I've shared that with my go-getter community as well. I was an example of that. I was editing someone's book and I had to go in there and tell them, like, hey, I'm setting aside 2 hours and my goal is to complete this many chapters. When that 2 hour time frame came up, there were two people in the group that was like, hey, Melissa, just checking in. How far are you? It's different when you've got somebody that's going to ask you about what you said you were going to do. It's different when you have somebody asking you about what you said you were going to do. Okay. So I just want to share that with you. Stick with the plan, whatever that plan is, stick with it, audit it as necessary, check to see if there are any changes, if there's anything new that you're going to have to add, or perhaps there's a step that you can subtract. Maybe something happened where you had one bit of knowledge when you started breaking down your goal. And as you've grown in knowledge as it relates to what you want to do, there may be one or two things that you no longer need to do because you've seen some possibility models and they didn't have to do that. So you're like, oh, I don't have to worry about that. Awesome. Wanted to share that with you. All right. It takes as long as it takes. Burn that in your brain. All right. It takes as long as it takes. Don't wait to start the idea if you haven't started it yet. If you're someone that's watching this and you haven't started on your luxury item yet, maybe there's something that you said, I've always wanted to do blank. Now is the time to start it, because it is a whole process. It is a whole process. I recently heard an interview with a young lady named Tia Banks. She's a motivational speaker. And one of the things she shared was keep deciding. And as you guys have heard me explain, when you make a decision, you're cutting all of the other options off. You're cutting all of the other options off and you're choosing that thing that you're working towards. If in the middle of your journey, you start to feel less than great, less than optimal, keep deciding. Keep deciding. In Tia Banks' case, she decided that she wanted to climb the highest freestanding mountain on the earth. That's Mount Kilimanjaro, for those who don't know, located in Tanzania, Africa. She decided she was going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And when she got there, on day one, she started feeling sick. But you know what she did? She kept deciding, because she had already set in her heart from Texas that she was going to make that climb up the mountain no matter what. She had already done the training. She knew that it was going to be a 7-day trip. And typically a climb on Mount Kilimanjaro, like, it's a break between the amount of days you're going up and a certain amount of days you're going back down. But it's a 7-day trip, round trip. And she kept deciding, and she made it. She reached the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro despite how sick she felt. Whatever challenges she was dealing with, she bit the bullet, got the help she needed, and kept climbing each day until she got the result she was after. And now that is her whole brand. That is her whole message. She is climbing mountains across the world and across the country. That's pretty admirable. That is a powerful luxury item. And it feeds into her work of public speaking. So I want to give you that as an example and as a possibility model. Okay? Keep deciding. Keep cutting off all the options you had already cut off previously. You cut them off for a reason. Your mind is going to want to slip back to the familiar, slip back to what's easiest, the path of least resistance, because as I mentioned last episode, the brain is wired for survival, not success. And what I mentioned to you is safe equals stunted. We're not going for stunted, because if you stunt yourself, you won't achieve your luxury item. Keep deciding. It takes as long as it takes. If you're feeling sick, reach out to the folks in your network that can help you. If you only have the one other person in your network, you're someone who's very reserved, you're not very big on a social circle, tap into that one other person, whoever that is. But use your resources that you have around you and keep deciding, keep going, keep moving, keep pushing. It takes as long as it takes. Even with the self-doubt, run this video back if you need to. Because like I said, the fact that you're moving towards your luxury item is a win in itself. Even if you doubt your own abilities, it's okay. Keep going. Keep going. The doubt is a feeling. The feeling will pass. Keep going. That's it, y'all. I wasn't about to hold you for an entire hour, right? I just wanted to come on here and give that reminder. It takes as long as it takes. Pull on whoever you need to pull on to get it done. If you need to tug on me, by all means, reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at Getting the Win Show, or on Pinterest at Threads, same handle, at Getting the Win Show. On YouTube, feel free to subscribe at Getting the Win. But reach out to me if you don't have anybody in your social circle that is on the same wavelength as you as it relates to your luxury item. You might have people in your social circle, but they may not understand what you're doing, or they may not see your vision. And that's okay. They don't necessarily have to be able to see it. Your vision is for you. The answer is yes, Christina. That applies to your goals. It takes as long as it takes. Whatever those goals are. And don't doubt them either. Like, overhaul them, study them, see what's necessary, and act accordingly. Make the necessary changes. What you need to stop doing, what you need to start doing, what you can continue to do. That's it, y'all. That is it for this week. Hopefully this is helpful. Even if this episode was only meant to be like the kick in the butt, the slap on the back, the elbow, you know what I'm saying? Just that reminder, like keep going. Okay. This is one of those videos that you just bookmark and like replay when you need it. This is the procrastination bully cheering you on. Keep going. It takes as long as it takes. In the meantime and between time, I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday and a great rest of your week. Peace.